Welcome into DC On Screen, episode 375. I'm your host, David C. Robertson. This, my co-host, Jason Goss.
Hello.
And this episode, we're going to get super spoilery on Supergirl 2x19. Alex. To recap, Maggie and Kara square off over the power of words versus fists as Alex is abducted by one of her old high school acquaintances who, it turns out, knows Supergirl's real identity and has been planning to leverage that to get his father released from prison. In the end, Alex nearly dies but holds on, and Maggie and Kara realize that listening to each other makes them a pretty good team. Also, Rhea tries to trick Lena into helping her build teleportation portals. Lena easily deciphers her first trick, but gets taken in by the second and agrees to help build the portals. So,
can I do a side note on this real quick?
Sure.
The CW app, and we have like a Roku thing in the living room that does the CW site is now playing Constantine ads finally.
Oh.
I had not seen that previous to exactly this episode of Supergirl. I saw it a couple times later as I was going through the week, but
like Constantine as in the show that's on CWC?
Yeah, they're finally like advertising the fact on their app that they have this show on CWC.
Okay, because if it was the animated Constantine, I'm like, what?
No. They actually cut a trailer for the season.
Okay.
As they have it. Like cut a new trailer.
Cool.
Yeah, they put some thought into it. I was happy. That's my side note. On to the episode. Sorry.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the "What do we even need police for in this town?"
That the first part of the episode and all that.
Yeah, evidence disturbed by debris, vigilante justice. She knocked a Supergirl-sized hole in a landmark.
Yeah, I had two notes on that scene. Three. Supergirl was kind of right. Like, Maggie might not have actually pulled it off. I mean, she was close, and her instincts are probably good, but anything could have happened.
Sure.
That being said, the episode kind of explains why the rest of this is important, so, no point doing the rebuttal there. My big problem with the scene was if there's something called the Supergirl defense, why in the hell has someone not explained this to her already?
Right.
This is like an actual legal terminology that's happening, that's actively happening, and no one has told her about it except in an argument at a dinner party. This should be something like the DEO is approaching her about in an actual briefing. That they call her and have her sit down and say, we have a thing, and there's an agenda and like a bullet point system they're going to go over.
Jason, they can't do that, man.
Why?
Because then Supergirl will get a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I mean, you see my point, though, Dave. You see my point.
Yeah.
Now, my favorite part about that, did you notice when Mon-El walked out, he had 2 slices of pizza in his hand?
Absolutely, I did.
I laughed my ass off.
I did, too.
It was, I like that guy. But, can I say something about the episode as a whole?
Sure.
As it regards Maggie here. They screwed Maggie. Like, the character, I think they screwed her over a little. Because, look, she was the one stressing, use your words.
Uh-huh.
And then, even after they, Supergirl goes too far, uses her fists, cuts down the time they have. And then John even, when Maggie, blasts her outside of the, out in the hallway for fucking up, John, even kind of comes to Kara's defense, like, oh, she was lashing out. Like, no, she was right. And then, I mean, Kara was being, self-righteous and arrogant. Like, the thing that we haven't liked about her this, back half of the season, at least. Yes. And then,
also Kara.
Yeah, Kara, too. And, you got to bring Kat in somewhere, right? But yeah, and in the end, Supergirl's the one who gets to deliver the big speech about, how you really only you need your words. Mm-hmm. And it's after the show makes Maggie betray her own philosophy that she was standing for in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then the part that really made me mad, though, the part where I was like, whoa, is when they're talking later, Maggie thanks her for reminding her.
Yeah.
Supergirl, there should have been a moment where Kara, got it right this time, comes to Maggie and just says, you were right the whole time. I should have trusted you. That I didn't feel like that happened as much as it should have.
No. I mean, well, Am I crazy, or was that whole speech, the one good thing in your life speech that Kara gave to dude's dad, was that not a thing that could have happened at any point in the episode? Like, shouldn't that have been like their first course of action? Is like, hey, let's go talk to this dick in prison and see if he'll like tell his son to stop being a bigger dick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
I mean,
one good thing in your life, not really. The dude's like kidnapped some woman and holding her hostage.
Yeah, like if the dad turned to him and went, hey, the one good thing in my life is about to kill someone. So why don't we just call me a washout, let that play out, and just go ahead and put me down?
Yeah.
Because apparently my DNA just needs to go to bed.
That dude's a good actor, too. They underutilized him.
No, he was good. He really was. And his son, whoever he is as an actor, the Rick Melvin.
He was interesting.
He was
pretty
and
good.
he was good. He was. I thought it was a well done guest part.
Mm-hmm.
Like he went from in one scene, he went from like hugging his dad to playing poker in a few seconds on screen at least. I'm sure it's different shooting it, but still, it looked great on screen.
Yeah. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Alex so desperate for Kara and Maggie to get along? Like, she's acting like they haven't in the past, and I haven't ever noticed a problem with that.
They have gotten along in the past, but apparently there's this thing that's been building for the length of this episode.
Yeah, for the length of this episode.
Yeah,
but,
where they're not maybe getting along on the extra legal kind of categories. Now, I mean, as far as why she's so desperate, yeah, dude, it's your family and the one you love. You always want them to get together.
Absolutely.
And get behind that,
but absolutely. But
they didn't
the way
like
she plays
build up to it over several episodes. It's just a thing happened at the beginning of this episode.
But they played it like it had been building up for several episodes.
Well, and same time, like when Maggie does her little speech at the dinner table and has her freak out, she explains it as though this is something she's been thinking of for a while and hasn't brought up, which I can buy. I mean, I can buy it.
Yeah, maybe with Alex. Maybe she's talked to Alex about it.
That being said, oh, by the way, can I just point out that Alex is a badass?
Absolutely.
Jeez, man. Like I actually own a couple leather belts, and I've never thought about it. Like I generally do just wear leather belts. I will never not wear a leather belt now.
Okay.
After seeing how useful they can possibly be in a hostage situation.
Right.
It's been an accident before, but now it's going to be a very specific thing I do.
What I thought was amazing was that the guy that kidnapped her knew she was going to dig that implant out of her shoulder. He had contingency for every little thing.
I thought about that, though. He didn't necessarily have to have a contingency for that. What he had to have a contingency plan for was that if she got it activated at all, it would reroute the IP address. And he said like 3 or 4 times, I've been planning this for a year. And honestly, if you gave me a year plan, I think that's something I would think of. That if in any way she manages to get a signal out, it will reroute the signal. I would think of that. Okay. I really do think I'd think of that in a year.
All right. You think it's just like, some script firing somewhere just kind of sets it off?
Some what kind?
Some script firing
somewhere.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. No, I would... it's an IP signal. It's a wireless signal. It has to actually route through something. So I would have the router just reroute itself. Like you get a VPN, just toss it on the outside. Fine.
Yeah. Well, they were pretty much watching her most of the time on the little laptop, right? So he's just like sitting there they didn't even check his pocket. He's got a little gadget controlling things. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I know. Oh, but I got to give her badass awards for, if nothing else, I think the most like kind of damn with 4 A's moment I may have seen on this show so far is her cutting her shoulder with a credit card. I mean, I almost slow clapped watching it.
I even liked the bit with the pants, using her pants to I don't know.
That was
as a flotation device / grabbing air to breathe in.
That's a technique though that I've heard about recently on small planes where like you don't have the normal apparatus. So, like the normal, like your seat's a flotation device in the event of like apparently if you go down, that's what you do. You pull your pants off, you flap them around to get air in them, and then you use that as like a makeshift floating device. Mm-hmm. And then in her case, she pulled air out of it, which makes no sense because that would have been carbon dioxide she was pulling out of her pants, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, she did, to be fair, she didn't last very long.
She didn't.
It's like she tried to use the air and then went, oh, this isn't the right kind of air, and then she passed out.
I mean...
Like, immediately.
I mean, if you gave me the choice between carbon dioxide and water,
Sure.
I think that H and that C makes a huge difference in that empirical formula.
Mm-hmm. So, I wish they had gone deeper into the Supergirl defense stuff. I liked all of the stuff they mentioned. The evidence being disturbed by debris, et cetera, et cetera. I think I'd be interested. And hopefully with James, they'll get deeper into vigilante justice on this earth, and we'll hear more about it. But then that's just me, and I liked BVS, so, hey.
Yeah, right.
But,
I do hope that's something to explore a little bit. It's always a concept that's cool when you explore, like, the vigilante justice side of any of this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I wonder if there's going to be ever a moral quandary or consequences for all the mind wiping.
Nah.
Because they just wiped that dude's mind.
Nah.
That doesn't seem right. And there were consequences for it in like Identity Crisis. Like they've done some really cool.
They
things
have
in the comics.
in the comics. They've definitely done it. Like Batman did not enjoy realizing he had been wiped at one point.
Did you say miped?
Wiped. Sorry.
Oh.
Did I say miped? Anyway.
Yeah. Mind wiped. I liked it. Miped.
I've just gone straight to miped. Yeah. Cut out the middleman. I don't need you, Eindl.
No James in this episode, though.
No James, but I did see the promo for the next episode, and you will get to see him again. He's suiting up. You get to see the shield come out and everything. But what did you think of Lena and Rhea's thing? Just to wrap up the subplot here.
I thought it was funny that she said thank the gods, and Lena's like, alien. But like seeing Supergirl and Kara and not being able to figure out that one of them's got glasses, one of them doesn't. That's the only difference. That bothers me.
That one does. That one bothers me a little. But, some people are more visual and some people are more linguistic creatures. And I like the fact that Rhea's like it was the think the gods, wasn't it? Yeah, it was the think God.
Yeah. I always Superman, Supergirl. I always think of that old SNL bit where just very obvious Bill Murray as Superman. Mm-hmm. Like at the superhero party with the Hulk and Ant-Man and everybody, and he keeps like jumping out the window and coming back as Clark, and they're like, "Where did Superman go?" And he's like, "Oh, I just saw him."
That's old school.
Yeah. And then I think he comes back with like part of the costume showing, and they're like, "Hey, Clark Kent is Superman." He's like, "Damn it!"
Yeah. I had one last thing on this. Now,
yeah.
Well, two, I guess. One, it was just cool that they got to use the footage from when she was a teenager again and like make it integrated into the story. That was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But
that was cool. I did like that. Yeah.
I dug it. But like Lena calls her and she doesn't have time for her and she wants some advice. And then later she calls back and she's like, "Oh, I'm good. I sorted it out." And and we're led to believe that because she couldn't get in touch with Kara, she made the bad decision to line up with Rhea.
Mm-hmm.
But have you seen the advice like Kara's been given the last, several? I have no reason to believe that anything would be different right now if she had answered that phone and been like, "I'm going to focus on you for a second."
Yeah.
Oh, and real quick, my favorite line from Win, as often. "Oh, you do not get to talk to her."
I didn't like that line.
I just did, and it's just because of the way the guy delivers it, man.
I didn't. That's precisely why I didn't like it.
There was a fierceness to it. Like he looked like he was ready to punch that guy with the tablet.
Yeah.
Smack that tablet over his head.
Yeah, that's a good word for it, fierce. Because I imagine Win at that moment going, "Fierce."
He can actually pull it off, though. You know he can. He can be not quite intimidating, but brave as hell when he needs to. Like you remember season 1 when Kara's about to go off the rails, like he's the one guy who stands in front of her and says, "You're screwing up," and like he knows exactly what she's capable of, but he literally steps in front of this demigod and says, "You are screwing up." Like we've always respected the fact that Wynn is brave, stupidly brave, but brave.
Yeah, I just I thought it was corny. That's it.
Oh, I just liked it.
That's fine. You are free to be wrong, sir. That's going to do it for this episode.
Oh, hosting has its benefits, doesn't it? You get to have the last word by just introducing the outro to the episode.
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think, but I just did a DCEU episode with Matt Carroll that would seem to suggest otherwise.
Oh.
So anyway, we are DC On Screen. You can find every episode for free at dconscreen.com. You can contact us, DC On Screen, one word, over on Twitter or Facebook. We're on Instagram too. I don't know if you care about that, but it's kind of fun sometimes.
Pictures,
y'all. And that's extremely helpful for people on Twitter who apparently imagine that I look like Chris Farley.
Never thought that one.
Yeah. Well, he's imagining. I don't. He said.
Okay. That would be fun to have people draw us without ever having seen us.
It would, but, I feel like we're out there a lot, so, I don't know. Anyway, proud members of the Giant Size Team Up Network, giantsizeteamup.com, and we're going to be coming right back with a recap and review of Flash 320, I Know Who You Are.
And we do.
Until then, and we do. So until then, guys, keep some DC on your screen.